husband got off the internet because he is so tired of being bullied about his weight. And like, that makes me want to cry because he is the sweetest angel baby.
She changed my life. I am over the moon with that woman.
What if love didn't care about your past? What if the most unexpected people held the most powerful stories? You might think you know Jelly Roll. You might have heard of Bunnie XO. But do you really know what it took for them to get here? How does someone rise from rock bottom to the top of the charts, and who stands beside them through the storm? This isn't just a love story. It's not just fame and fortune. It's something deeper, something raw. Stick around, because what you're about to discover will challenge what you think you know about struggle, success, and second chances. Jason DeFord, from troubled youth to hip-hop hopeful. To understand the full weight of their current trials, one must journey back to the rugged path Jelly Roll, born Jason DeFord, first traversed a path leading from shadowed alleys to the glaring lights of stardom. Before the name Jelly Roll echoed in sold-out arenas, Jason DeFord was a kid navigating the harsh realities of Antioch, a neighborhood in Nashville, Tennessee, where survival often meant straddling the line of the law. His father, a meat dealer by day, was also a bookmaker, a life escolia that painted their world in shades of gray. His mother, who affectionately nicknamed him Jelly, battled her own demons of mental illness and addiction. In this crucible of hardship, Jason later recounted how drug dealing and addiction were the norm. It wasn't a choice, but an environment that seeped into his young life. By the tender age of 14, Jason DeFord found himself on the wrong side of a prison cell for the first time. The first of what would become a staggering tally of around 40 arrests over the next decade. His early rap sheet was a grim catalog of youthful missteps, drug possession, shoplifting. The streets became his classroom, and his lessons were hard-learned. Yet, amidst this turmoil, a different kind of fire ignited within him, a passion for hip-hop. He found solace and a voice in the raw energy of Southern rap legends like 3-6 Mafia and UGK, their beats and rhymes a stark contrast to the bleakness surrounding him.
I spent most of from 14 to 25 in jail. This would be the first time I've ever actually talked about the charge. It was a heinous crime, admittedly. It was horrible. We robbed a couple of guys for some weed, and we went in there with a gun. I regret it every day of my life, Joe.
Driven by this newfound passion, he began to carve out his own space, hulking self-made mixtapes from the trunk of his car. These weren't glossy studio productions, but raw, unfiltered expressions of his life and aspirations. Titles like The Smear Tape and Gamblin' on the White Boys series were his calling cards on the local scene. A collaboration in 2010 with fellow rapper Lil White on the track Pop Another Pill unexpectedly caught fire, amassing over 6 million views on YouTube and giving him his first taste of wider recognition. This spark of success fueled the formation of the hip-hop group SNO, a collective effort that further solidified his presence in the underground music world. He continued to release mixtapes, hustling his music with an intensity born from a desperate need to escape his circumstances. He often said that even his drug dealing was, in his mind, always a means to music. It was his twisted way of funding his true calling, his business card in a world that didn't offer many legitimate opportunities. However, the shadow of his past was long and tenacious. At 16, a more severe charge landed heavily upon him, aggravated robbery with a firearm over marijuana. This time, the justice system saw him not as a misguided teen, but as an adult, and the weight of that classification was crushing. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison, a term that threatened to extinguish the flickering flame of his musical dreams. Looking back on that moment years later, Jason DeFord didn't shy away from the gravity of his actions. "I never want to overlook the fact that it was a heinous crime," he stated, the remorse evident in his voice. This is an adult looking back at a 16-year-old kid who made the worst possible choice that he could have made in life, and people could have been harmed, and thank God no one was. Though he served just over a year of that sentence, the felony conviction became an indelible brand, a barrier that would continue to cast a pall over his future. For Jason DeFord, music wasn't just a passion. It was increasingly becoming his only perceived lifeline. Sentenced to 8 years, the future for Jason DeFord looked bleak. a seemingly insurmountable wall closing in on his aspirations. He often reflected on this period, recognizing music as perhaps the sole key to unlocking a different destiny, a way out from the relentless cycle of crime that had ensnared him. It was within those prison walls that the raw material of his life began to ferment into the lyrics and melodies that would one day define him. And, as fate would have it, another pivotal chapter was waiting to unfold as he stepped out of the darkness, a chapter that would bring an extraordinary person into his life. Amidst the tumultuous journey of self-discovery and the arduous climb from the depths of his past, a beacon of light emerged in Jelly Roll's life when he met Bunnie XO, born Alyssa DeFord. She wasn't just a partner, she was a kindred spirit, a woman whose own history was etched with hardship and resilience. Bunnie, too, had navigated a challenging past, including a period as an exotic dancer, experiences she openly discussed, not as sources of shame, but as formative chapters that forged her into the fiercely independent and outspoken woman she became. Her strength and candor resonated deeply with Jelly Roll, who found in her an unwavering ally and a profound understanding that few could offer. Their connection was immediate and intense, a bond forged in the fires of shared struggles and a mutual desire for a better future. In 2016, they solidified their commitment, marrying in a union that would become a cornerstone of Jelly Roll's transformation and a celebrated love story in its own right.
So when Bunnie comes into my life, I have to sit Bunnie down, and man, this is the first time we've ever talked about this outside of her podcast. Mm-hmm. I have to sit Bunnie down and go, look, I have a kid that you know about that I'm fixing to have to get full custody of. There's also a woman out there that's pregnant with a kid of mine. And Bunnie's just like, whew, man, that's a lot. She was like, but I got you.
With Bunnie's steadfast support, Jelly Roll began to steer his musical ship into new waters, gradually transitioning from the raw edges of hip-hop towards the heartfelt narratives of country and rock music. This shift wasn't just a stylistic change. It was an evolution of his storytelling, a deeper excavation of the pain, redemption, and hope that defined his life. A pivotal moment in this new chapter arrived in 2021 when he stepped onto the hallowed stage of the Grand Ole Opry for his debut. For an artist with his background, this was more than just a performance. It was a profound validation, a symbol of acceptance into the heart of Nashville's musical establishment. The momentum continued to build. His single, Dead Man Walking, climbed the charts to become a #1 rock anthem, its raw energy capturing his defiant spirit. Then came Son of a Sinner, a track he co-wrote with Ernest and David Ray Stevens. Released in late 2022, it became his first country single and, by 2023, his first #1 hit on country radio, a testament to his authentic voice and crossover appeal. The Nashville dream was no longer a distant mirage. It was his unfolding reality.
I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be with you, but I'm going to do everything I can to help you with this little girl. That's who, because, dude, I'm broke. I can't afford the lawyer. I can't afford anything. I'm like, dude, what am I going to do, put the kid in the van? Dude, I'm living out of like a 96 van. And Bunnie's like, I'll help you. So Bunnie bankrolled the whole shit. And she never talks about that.
Parallel to his burgeoning career, Jelly Roll embraced the profound responsibilities of fatherhood. He had learned he was a father to his daughter, Bailey Ann, on the day he was released from jail in 2008, meeting her for the first time when she was nearly 2. Later, his son Noah completed their family. Bunnie XO seamlessly stepped into the role of a devoted bonus mom, showering Bailey Ann and Noah with love and providing a stable, nurturing presence. She has often spoken about the joys and challenges of co-parenting, her honesty endearing her to many. Jelly Roll frequently and publicly credits Bunnie as the catalyst for his profound personal turnaround. Her love and belief in him, a constant source of strength. Their bond, tested by the extremes of life, remained unbreakable. In 2023, they chose to reaffirm their love and commitment by renewing their wedding vows, a poignant celebration of their shared journey and the battles they had overcome together. Bunnie often shares glimpses into their life, articulating her deep love for Jelly Roll and the unique family they've built, a family founded on honesty, resilience, and unwavering support.
Nah, Bunnie's cool, man. She don't give a fuck about nothing, dude. I got the coolest girl on earth.
Yo, you give her so much love, man. It's great seeing
wonderful.
all these, like, there's so many, like, podcasts that you've been doing recently that have been going, these little moments going viral. Obviously, the Rogan experience was great for you.
Oh, man.
But
Their life, once a maelstrom of chaos, had found a rhythm of success and familial joy. Jelly Roll was selling out arenas like Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, sharing stages with major acts, and his music was resonating with millions. But even as they basked in the glow of hard-won triumphs, an unforeseen shadow was beginning to creep into their world, a sudden, terrifying piece of news concerning Bunnie XO's health that would soon threaten to capsize everything they had fought so hard to build, testing their love and resilience to its very core. The medical diagnosis that shook their lives, the comfortable rhythm of their hard-won success, however, was about to be shattered. A palpable shift occurred, an unspoken tension that began to surface in their public interactions. Smiles seemed a little more forced, and in one candid clip, fans saw Bunnie XO, usually a force of boisterous energy, fighting back tears, while Jelly Roll, her ever-effusive husband, appeared unusually reserved and somber. Something was clearly amiss, a serious world-rocking event they hinted at, vaguely termed a diagnosis. The storm broke in August 2024. For some time, Bunnie had been plagued by chronic headaches, persistent and unsettling. Just in case, as she put it, she underwent an MRI. The results were horrifying. Doctors delivered the terrifying news they suspected a potential aneurysm on her carotid artery, a vital channel supplying blood to the brain. For Bunnie, this wasn't just a medical term. It was a chilling echo of her family's past. Her own mother had suffered a similar condition, an ordeal that had nearly claimed her life. The diagnosis plunged Bunnie into a maelstrom of fear and anxiety. On her popular Dumb Blonde podcast, Bunnie later laid bare the raw, unvarnished emotional toll of those first few days. Her voice, usually confident and laced with humor, trembled as she recounted the experience. "I cried for 3 days," she confessed to her listeners, her vulnerability palpable. "I can't sleep. I haven't slept. I'm sweating so bad. I have diarrhea. I'm just like so freaked out and stressed out." The emotional burden was immense, a crushing weight of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. She described it as a death scare, a confrontation with mortality that made her worst fears come true. The woman who faced the world with such bravado was now grappling with an invisible threat that shook her to her core. "It was one of my biggest fears becoming a reality," she explained, the pain evident. "I cried my eyes out. I sobbed so hard I strained my neck muscle."
Bunnie detailed the nightmare she went through after initially being diagnosed with an aneurysm. She said, "I've been getting headaches. I noticed that it was kind of after I would eat certain foods. I don't know if it was like high in salts or something because I don't eat bad."
During this agonizing period of uncertainty, Jelly Roll, though undoubtedly wrestling with his own terror, remained her rock. He tried to project strength, to be the steadfast comfort she desperately needed, but the worry was etched on his face. He held her close, a silent promise of support in the face of an unknown future. The days stretched into an eternity of waiting, of whispered fears in the dead of night, of clinging to each other as they braced for what might come. The vibrant, often chaotic world of Jelly Roll and Bunnie XO had been thrust into a terrifying limbo, their love and resilience tested as never before by a diagnosis that threatened to steal their joy, their future, and perhaps even Bunnie herself. The immediate impact was a stark reminder of life's fragility, a harsh light cast on the preciousness of every moment they had fought so hard to build together. Desperate and teetering on the edge of despair, Bunnie XO felt as though she were staring into an abyss. Was there any glimmer of hope, or was this grim diagnosis an irreversible sentence? Their world hung in the balance as they awaited a crucial consultation with a neurosurgeon, a meeting that held the potential for either devastating confirmation or a miraculous reprieve. Navigating storms from health scares to public scrutiny, clinging to that fragile strand of hope. Bunnie XO, accompanied by an anxious Jelly Roll, presented her scans to a neurosurgeon. The air in the consultation room was thick with unspoken fears. The specialist meticulously reviewed the MRI images, the silence stretching tautly. Then, the words that changed everything. The neurosurgeon informed Bunnie that what the initial report had flagged as a potential aneurysm was, in fact, nothing more than a normal, albeit perhaps unusually configured, blood vessel. There was no life-threatening bulge in her carotid artery. "This was just one of those things where I get to give good news," the doctor stated, likely accustomed to delivering far graver prognoses. With a reassuring smile, he added, "If you want to go play tackle football, you can." The wave of relief that washed over Bunnie and Jelly Roll was immense, an almost physical release from days of torment. Their world, teetering on the brink, was suddenly pulled back from the precipice.
The specialist revealed she was misdiagnosed. He said, "I'm clearing you. It's a blood vessel that matches on the other side of your carotid artery on the other end. This was just one of these things where I get to deliver good news. If you want to go play tackle football, you can."
However, life, particularly for those in the relentless glare of public scrutiny, rarely offers prolonged periods of tranquility. Just as they were processing the incredible reprieve from Bunnie's health scare, new storms began to gather on the horizon, this time targeting Jelly Roll directly. In 2023, following a powerful performance of Ozzy Osbourne's emotional ballad, "Mama, I'm Coming Home," at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, a bizarre and unfounded accusation began to circulate on social media. Some individuals, pointing to his tattoos, his appearance, and the somewhat gothic ambiance of the performance setting, accused Jelly Roll of being a Satanist. For a man who had increasingly spoken about his faith, these accusations were deeply hurtful and bewildering. The online vitriol took its toll, and Jelly Roll, feeling misunderstood and targeted, made the decision to step away from X, formerly Twitter, for a period. A platform he later described as the most toxic negative app to ever exist. Period. He candidly spoke about his reaction on the Pat McAfee show. Admitting his initial response was perhaps not the most strategic. "I double down like a real thing. Dumbass." I go, "You know what I'm getting off X? Y'all are mean to me." That was so not the approach. He expressed his frustration. "I began getting pulled into strange things that made me feel strange because I'm a man of faith. Man, y'all don't know me if you think I'd even..." As if this weren't enough, another legal challenge emerged in April 2024. A wedding band from Pennsylvania, coincidentally also operating under the name Jelly Roll, filed a trademark lawsuit against the country music star. The band claimed that the musician's burgeoning fame and use of the same name were causing confusion and negatively impacting their business, leading to lost engagements and opportunities. They argued that potential clients were mistakenly associating their wedding band with the famous, and decidedly different, musical style of Jason DeFord. This lawsuit highlighted the complex nature of trademark rights in the entertainment industry, where a name can be a valuable brand asset. For Jelly Roll, who had been using the moniker for years, long before his mainstream country success, it was yet another battle he hadn't anticipated, a dispute that carried potential long-term implications for his career and brand identity. Having just navigated the terror of a life-threatening misdiagnosis, Bunnie and Jelly Roll found themselves once again in the crucible, their resilience tested by the often brutal court of public opinion and the intricacies of legal wrangling. The emotional roller coaster from sheer terror to profound relief was quickly supplanted by the familiar sting of public attack and the daunting prospect of a legal fight that could tarnish the name he had worked so hard to build. One had to wonder if Jelly Roll, a man who had already weathered so many storms, could withstand these new, relentless gales. Would he find the peace and acceptance he so clearly craved? Redemption, advocacy, and unfinished business of Jelly Roll, freed from the immediate terror of a life-threatening diagnosis and the gut-wrenching anxiety that had enveloped them. Jelly Roll and Bunnie XO might have hoped for a period of calm. However, the relentless nature of public life, coupled with the long shadow of Jelly Roll's past, meant that tranquility remained an elusive commodity. Almost immediately, new challenges surfaced, testing their resilience in different, yet equally demanding, ways. The spotlight, while illuminating his remarkable ascent, also magnified every perceived flaw and past transgression. One of the more unexpected tempests arose in 2023. Following a heartfelt and powerful rendition of Ozzy Osbourne's classic ballad, "Mama, I'm Coming Home," performed during the prestigious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony, a flurry of bizarre accusations erupted online. Some viewers, perhaps misinterpreting his heavily tattooed appearance, his raw stage energy, or even the dramatic lighting of the venue, inexplicably labeled him a Satanist. For Jelly Roll, a man who had become increasingly open and vocal about his Christian faith and its profound impact on his journey of redemption, these claims were not only baseless, but also deeply wounding. He felt profoundly misunderstood, the accusations striking at the core of his transformed identity. The negativity became so overwhelming that he made the difficult decision to temporarily step away from the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. He later admitted on The Pat McAfee Show that the raw reaction was to lash out, saying, "I double down like a real thing, dumbass. I go, you know what I'm getting off X? Y'all are mean to me." That was so not the approach. He articulated the hurt and confusion these attacks caused, explaining, "I began getting pulled into strange things that made me feel strange because I'm a man of faith. Man, y'all don't know me if you think I'd even..." He found the platform to be an incredibly toxic negative app, a breeding ground for unfounded negativity. As if fending off accusations of devil worship wasn't enough, another, more tangible battle emerged in April 2024, this time in the legal arena. A wedding band hailing from Pennsylvania, which had been performing for a number of years under the same moniker, Jelly Roll, filed a trademark lawsuit against the rapidly ascending country music star. Their claim centered on the argument that Jason DeFord's widespread fame and use of the Jelly Roll name was creating significant confusion among potential clients and adversely affecting their business. They asserted that people were mistaking their local wedding band for the chart-topping musician, resulting in lost bookings and diminished business opportunities. This legal entanglement brought into sharp focus the often complex and contentious issue of trademark rights within the entertainment sector, where a name can be an artist's most valuable intellectual property. For Jelly Roll, who had adopted and performed under the name for many years, well before his breakthrough into mainstream country music, this lawsuit represented a serious and potentially damaging challenge to his established brand and identity. The case, which underscores how crucial it is for artists to secure their trademarks early, was yet another unforeseen storm for him to navigate, with possible long-term repercussions for his career, depending on the court's ruling. Having narrowly escaped the clutches of a terrifying health misdiagnosis, the couple was once again thrust into a maelstrom, their endurance tested by the often merciless nature of public scrutiny and the complexities of the legal system. The intense relief from Bunnie's health scare was swiftly overshadowed by the sting of these new adversities. It was a stark reminder that their journey, however inspiring, was far from over, and that the path to peace and stability was still fraught with obstacles. One had to question just how many more such tempests Jelly Roll, a man who had already overcome so much, could possibly endure. The unbreakable spirit of Jelly Roll and Bunnie XO's throughout his heart, wide open and a past that stubbornly clung to him. Jelly Roll continued to carve out his own narrative, one increasingly defined by redemption and an unwavering commitment to using his platform for good. The journey of personal transformation was multifaceted. Since December 2022, he had embarked on a remarkable weight loss journey, shedding nearly 200 pounds from his initial weight of 540 pounds, bringing him down to 357 pounds with a determined goal of reaching 250. This wasn't just about numbers on a scale. It was about reclaiming his health and vitality. His regimen, supported by nutrition coach Ian Larios, included a high-protein diet and a dedicated fitness routine involving daily walks, sauna sessions, and invigorating cold plunges. One deeply personal motivation for this quest was a shared dream with Bunnie to skydive together in Sweden, an adventure with specific weight requirements. His favorite pre-show snacks is banana. We're making this one a little bit fancier today. Manuka honey stevia, sweet and dark chocolate that we grate. Over the top, fuel them before the show, yes to a high-protein diet. We're going to do a Nashville-style hot chicken, taking away the oil and the batter. From it, we're still having a high-protein meal. His spiritual life also underwent a profound shift. Witnessing his daughter Bailey Ann's baptism at age 14 was a pivotal moment. Initially cynical, he found himself unexpectedly moved by the sincerity and community he experienced, an event that renewed and deepened his own faith. This faith became a bedrock, even as he acknowledged that his expression of it might not fit conventional molds. This evolving sense of purpose found a powerful outlet in advocacy. In 2024, Jelly Roll stood before the U.S. Senate, a striking figure using his lived experience to champion Senator Tim Scott's Fentanyl Eradication and Narcotics Deterrence Fend-Off Fentanyl Act. His testimony was raw and unflinching. "I was part of the problem," he declared, his voice resonating with the weight of his past. "I am here now, standing as a man who wants to be part of the solution." He spoke of the devastation wrought by fentanyl, a crisis he understood with harrowing intimacy. His words were not just a political statement, but a plea from someone who had seen the darkest corners of addiction and the justice system. "I stand here as a regular member of society. I am a stupid songwriter, y'all, but I have firsthand witnessed this in a way most people have not. I encourage y'all to not only pass this bill, but I encourage you to bring it up where it matters, at the kitchen table." His commitment extended beyond words. He funded the creation of a music studio inside the Davidson County Juvenile Detention Center in Nashville, the very institution where he had spent time as a troubled teen. For Jelly Roll, this was personal, a way to offer at-risk youth the same lifeline that music had once offered him, a creative outlet, a sense of purpose, and a pathway to imagine a different future. His philanthropy was a tangible expression of his desire to give back, to turn his pain into an opportunity for others. Yet, despite his transformation and his tireless efforts to make a positive impact, the specter of his felony record continued to cast a long shadow, particularly on his ambitions for international touring. Performing in countries like Canada required a mountain of legal paperwork and a team of lawyers, a frustrating barrier for an artist eager to share his music and message globally. This led him to seek a pardon from Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, the Tennessee Board of Parole, after a nearly 2-hour hearing featuring supportive testimony from figures like Nashville Sheriff Darren Hall, recommended the pardon a significant milestone. Though the final decision still rested with the governor, Jelly Roll expressed his hope not only for touring, but also for future missionary work in his 50s and 60s. His raw, emotional performances, like those at the CMA Fest where he openly shared his journey, often moved audiences to tears, not just for his music, but for his unvarnished honesty and the palpable hope he embodied. His unfinished business was clear to fully transcend his past and inspire change on an even broader scale. From the darkness of prison to the bright lights of the Grand Ole Opry, Jelly Roll's story is a powerful reminder that redemption is real and love can heal even the deepest wounds. Through terrifying health scares, public backlash, and legal battles, he and Bunnie XO stood stronger than ever. Their journey proves that no one is too broken to be rebuilt, too lost to be found, or too scarred to be loved. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more powerful stories coming raw, emotional, and real, because sometimes the most unlikely people write the most unforgettable chapters.